Our scripture reading this morning comes to us from the Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 11, verses 28 through 30. Jesus said, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." May God grant us wisdom and understanding of this passage.
Even though our scripture today is from Matthew, I cannot help but think about the verse from Isaiah that says, "Behold, I'm doing a new thing, for we are all doing several new things." Allow me to set the stage for our coming weeks. First, we are recording Sunday's service on Thursday in order to pull together the various elements recorded at different times and in different places. Yes, Thursday is the new Sunday for church staff. Second, if you regularly attend First Church, you might notice that we are combining the gathering litany, the confession, the assurance, and the pastoral prayer in the gathering prayer, all for recorded purposes and online viewing. You will be able to see where it is printed out for you. And third, I'm filling in for one who is supposed to be our guest preacher today. His sermon on creation care has been rescheduled for September the 27th. Finally, I have never completed a homily by Thursday. I am a Saturday sermon finishing type of preacher. I enjoy beginning the week with research on Monday, slowly reflecting, praying, living into the week, and writing and editing on Saturday. So like many, we too at First Church are experiencing life anew as we adjust with virtual connections during this time of COVID-19. And not sleeping well? Many of us are not sleeping well. And it has become a new trial for many people around us. While I imagine we all have these struggles, I have to tell you that I am used to being a dreamer. I dream and I remember most of my dreams, but lately I have had a reoccurring dream. I am in the angst-filled 90s movie Reality Bites. I have joined the cast, dancing in the convenience store singing, and rather than singing, my, Sharona, we are singing, you guessed it, my, Corona. Clearly, this pandemic time is on my mind and has even filtered itself in my dreams. Perhaps yours too. So now, after speaking and texting with many of you, I am aware that today's service, while akin to our regular services, may be a little different. For we gather for comfort and connection, seeking purpose, but we do so in various stages of physical isolation. In our scripture, Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who are wearied and burdened, and I will give you rest." As my friend Charles likes to say, he doesn't invite us to a church or an institution, a denomination or a doctrine. Jesus says, "Come to me." Now, knowing Jesus as love came down, love incarnate, offered to the world, we can breathe. And we can think about how we too incarnate this love of his as well as ours. For we know this: love is never in isolation. Jesus is saying, "Come to me, incarnate love and live it, choose relationship over doctrine." And if we listen, we actually can hear this concept in the guidelines regarding public outings. Physically distancing is one way we let go of our American doctrine. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want, wherever I want. Now, choosing relationship means we care enough to open our hearts and close our doors to prevent spreading the virus that can make the people in our community vulnerable, that can infiltrate nursing homes, that can cause our elderly, as well as now our young, to be ill. When we walk through town or buy groceries, We keep our physical distance, but we increase our community connection with kind words and acknowledging smiles. In the later part of today's scripture, we read, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. Find rest for your souls. My yoke is easy and my burden is light." Now, I have to tell you, I don't actually remember ever seeing a cow in person until I was in college and went home with somebody from Tennessee. So yoke is not a natural metaphor for me. However, I do know that the 1795 schoolhouse that became the parsonage, the place in which my family and I live, was moved from our green to Church Street by oxen. They were yoked, harnessed together to carry the heavy burden, to lift more weight than they could lift individually. And so this text speaks to me in a different way. It reminds me of one of my favorite items in my prayer area, which is this cross. It is a cross that is held and carried by many. I love this symbol. Jesus is inviting us to join him, to let him help us with our burdens as we bear up one another's burden, because the weight is lighter when we carry it together. Joining together for joy, for the task, the opportunity for living, builds relationships of hope and love, and it lightens all of our burdens. In the book of Hebrews, we read, "Do not neglect to meet and encourage one another." So currently, we are working on creative ways to meet these new formats, but certainly we know that we are encouraging one another. There are some concrete ways that we can share burdens and bear one another up. We've said them in different ways around our community, and you've read them online probably, but make grocery store runs for those who cannot get out. Venmo funds to those who are working in the service industry, the food industry. Call, write, check on others in the neighborhood, pray for people. Let us restock our food banks and certainly live in hope. Dear community, we are just at the beginning, so I'm going to offer an overused phrase. This is not a marathon, or it is a marathon, it's not a race. We can't fix everything today, so slow down, be still, and prayerful. And as we do that, continue to read the many wonderful poems and writings that are circulating. But I invite you to hear this one and to recognize how it is connecting for us in this current state today. Kitty O'Meara speaks directly to the heart when she writes, "And the people stayed home and read books and listened and rested and exercised and made art and played games and learned new ways of being and were still and listened more deeply. Some meditated, some prayed, some danced. Some met their shadows, and the people began to think differently, and the people healed. And in the absence of people living in ignorant, dangerous, mindless, heartless ways, the earth began to heal. And when danger passed, the people joined together. They grieved their losses and made new choices and dreamed new images and created new ways to live and heal the earth fully as they had been healed." I am grateful to Kitty for the picture that she had painted, and may it be.